with the chat room. Join the chat room. Come talk with us. Yay. Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados. This is Mess 5150 from Malice Corp, and we are here to talk all things nerd, geek, and pop culture with you. So before we get into introducing everybody there, I just want to say really quick in the chat room, hello Eric and hello Bcon. Bcon's on vacation, but he's still there in the chat room in spirit with you guys to talk about the game. So on the cast tonight, let's go through the rounds. So we got me, Mess 5150, hosting your show for you. I've got along with me Mr. Icy Zorro.
Howdy.
So it's just full of energy tonight.
Uh-huh.
Well, it is. I think it's Wine Geek Week, so you
nice.
You've been partaking in that. I don't know.
That's just my life.
We also have our normal always on every cast Super Hoovian Freak.
You almost didn't have me tonight, man. You pulled me away from my Defenders binge watching.
That's actually what was said in my little Facebook post. I know all the nerd enthusiasts.
So good.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet. We'll talk a little bit about that. We also have the mug master with his coffee, Mr. Igor.
Good evening.
And then welcome back after a long time because we wanted a expert on one of our later topics. We have Sophia Rose with us.
Good to be back.
Thank you for coming back. We're trying to get her an unboxing video from Sonic's game.
That Sonic statue is huge. I want a little 6-inch one for my desk, not life-size Sega Genesis with a Sonic on it.
Have you tried punching it yet? Did giant gold rings come out?
No, there is a gold ring that comes with it in a Sega cartridge.
Nice.
You'll see the video.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, it's all in the video.
Yeah. I when I can get it uploaded. But yeah, let's get quickly into it. I'm gonna break down what we're gonna talk about. We are gonna go into our get your geek on, what you've been geeking out about, whether it be film, TV, video games, books, whatnot, whatever everybody's been doing. So if you guys want to chime off in the chat and let us know what you guys have been geeking out on lately. And then from there, we're going to go into our nerd news. We're going to touch on things having to do with Star Wars, James Bond, and DC Batman. And after that, we're going to get into the nerd fight results. So the nerd fight, if you guys still want to vote on them, there is a link at the bottom in the descriptions on this video to the actual article for the nerd fight. You can still vote. It goes until tomorrow night. It is for best cartoon. There is some that are still close to each other. There's one that is ahead of everybody by a far margin. And then we're going to talk a lot of Studio Ghibli. We want to talk about some of our love for both the studio itself, the video games that it helped take a part of, and just the pop culture reference it has on the world. And then we're going to talk about our new nerd fight. So before we get into all that, let's talk about what we're geeking out on. So since we haven't seen you for a while, Lynn, or Sophia, says Lynn on there. We go and tell us what you're geeking out on. It sounds like that Sonic thing is the most recent thing that you might be geeking out on. You're on mute. You pushed your mute button.
You're still
I don't.
Yeah.
There you go. So tell us what is the Sonic? What'd you get?
So it's Sonic Mania. It came out as a digital download. So you get in the box the digital download, which I still have yet to download because I've been dealing with an unboxing video. I'm trying to figure out how to find AA batteries in the house because it takes 2 AA batteries, which is always a fight in everybody's house. Open up the box.
Let's go to Costco and buy the big
life-size Sega Genesis, which I pulled out my Sega, by the way, and put it next to. It is about the same size.
Oh wow!
With the huge Sonic on top, you got the cute little cartridge, which has it's actually a really solid, heavy ring, and then the metal cards, which is actually different based on the different games. So if you have the Xbox, the picture's going to be different than the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. Yeah,
that's cool. So it makes all those collectors want to go out and spend more money to try and get each one.
$80.
Sneaky.
Yeah. We do have in the chat our producer on the ones and twos, Mr. Jack Malice, has been rereading Starship Troopers, and Eric responded off that it was way better than the movie, which we were talking about earlier before we came live with you guys, how far superior the book is to the movies. But
which is not to say that the movie's bad. It's just a different thing.
No,
they have almost nothing to do with each other.
No, they don't. But for that style of film, hey, I you know what you're getting whenever you're going to get Paul Verhoeven for a film. I mean, that's it's going to be super gory. It's going to be a lot of.
It was not my cup of tea, the movie.
But Neil Patrick Harris, that brought him back at first.
It did.
Although we all make fun of him during it.
That was the one with that was Casper Van Diem, right?
Yes,
it was.
Yeah, remember him? Yeah. You don't see him. Yeah, you don't see him much after that. He went the way of Hayden Christensen, and it kind of killed his career.
Come on now, Looper was okay.
Yeah.
Casper Van Dien did a Tarzan film, and then never.
I don't even remember that.
Igor, what have you been geeking out on lately? I think there was something you were telling me to go download. I didn't get a chance to.
Yes. Now, I've been following the trend of the weirdest of us and actually reading rather than watching. Been catching up on my Donald Westlake. If you want some good film noir where the protagonists are complete jerks, highly recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Grofield. Enough said. But what I've been playing was another moldy oldie, at least in internet terms. Finally logged into Kingdom of Loathing for the first time. Some of you might know that. You might not. It's an MMORPG that has graphics. But, yeah, in short, it's about your epic quests for glory and fortune and meat in the Kingdom of Loathing.
And meat?
And meat?
Yes.
Meat? So you have to
buy your quest for meat.
Fortune, and meat.
Right.
Well, you have to buy your gear.
Breakfast sausage.
Right.
You have to buy your gear somehow. You have to collect your meat.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a disco bandit.
Welcome to the chat, Robert.
That's
welcome to the chat, Beth. Robert came in with reading What's Reading, and Beth is currently reading Year Zero, and Bcon, as doing his binging that he always does, is now on chapter 9 of book 4 of A Song of Ice, of the whole Game of Thrones series of books, and he's getting ready to start Defenders. So, which, speaking of Defenders, what have you been doing, Super Hoovian?
Oh, dude, I got through 3.5 episodes before coming over on here, and the first couple. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything. Just the first couple, obviously, they're going to be set up. The first one, I don't think anyone meets in the first one. It's all just establishing where their characters are at right now, in New York. And then the second episode, Murdoch and Jessica meet, and then Iron Fist and Luke Cage meet, and then by the third episode, they all meet up.
So it's just
and
it's just connecting at the first. How many episodes is it?
I think it's 13. I want to say it's 13.
Okay. Because I know the last two, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, have been 13.
Yeah, I think it's 12, 13, or 14. I can't remember. Okay. But it just, I mean, the dialogue, Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock, she's so like in your face, not wanting to deal with anyone's BS, and he's just like, no, I'm mysterious. I am, this.
Well,
and
I like the thing of them combining the people together. The one thing that was mentioned at Comic-Con, I don't know if you're finding that more often in the Defenders or not, but that Sigourney Weaver brought up the factor that New York in itself is the fifth Defender as a character, and then I started watching the series over again. That's what I've been geeking out on, is doing the rewatching stuff.
Yes,
and it truly is. Daredevil's character is Hell's Kitchen. Luke Cage is Harlem. Danny Rand is Uptown, and Jessica Jones is downtown. Just
Bronx, I would say Bronx. Like the nitty gritty, dirty. But yeah, it's watching them all combine, watching Luke Cage and Danny Rand interact for the first time, when because they meet in the trailer. You see them meet in the alley. When Iron Fist punches him in the head, and when they meet later and he's like, okay, well, what's this being bulletproof? Okay, well, what's with the fist? Well, what's with this? And just watching them spar with each other because neither of them understand.
The setup is all Seinfeld bits. What's the deal with the Iron Fist?
In little parts, yeah, but it's not the whole thing. But it's just funny because it's like, oh, I don't believe that who you say you are, and he's like, but you're bulletproof. How can you not believe in,
We'll hold this because for all you wonderful people that like watching our TV talks and seeing what we have to say about things, we are going to eventually be doing a TV talk on the Defenders.
Yeah,
and
so I'll save it for then. But just know that so far, at least through 3.5 episodes, it's very entertaining, and I think it's going to get even better.
That's what we want to hear. What have you been geeking out on, Mr. Icy Zoro?
I've been watching Shameless, actually. I know it's not really geeky, but it turned out I was a couple of seasons farther behind than I thought, so I've just been catching up on that. I recently also started a book that is quite clearly young adult fiction called An Abundance of Catherines. It was recommended by one of my coworkers, and I'm like a handful of chapters into it, so it's decent so far. Same guy that wrote The Fault in Our Stars, so I anticipate crying by the end.
And welcome Big Papa Matt to the chat room. He made it into there, so we're going to get some interesting information for you, for everybody. Before I get into the things that I've been geeking out on, just to let you guys know, these MaliceCasts are brought to you by MaliceCorp.com. Please check out the website. That's where we get the sourcing for all this stuff. And we aren't able to get everybody here on the chat room, so some of those great voices you like hearing from, they're going to be in the interactive chat as well, and it's a really fun chat to sit in. So please come give your insights. Let us know what you're doing and all that stuff. Me personally, I've been geeking out on catching up to be able to watch Defenders. So I watched all of Luke Cage over again. I'm halfway through Iron Fist, and reserving.
You're making it through Iron Fist.
I'm making it through Iron Fist because I have my reserved thoughts on it, which is very funny because my wife at the same time has binged Arrow and she's watching and she's like, "This Arrow." Like, no, it's not. She's like, yes, this is Arrow.
Essentially Arrow. but with more magic.
Yeah.
A little bit more magic, yeah.
So that's what she says. She's like, so you're covering Marvel and I'm covering DC right now because we're just binging the two exact opposite things. I started another game, a little bit older of a game called Zombie, Zombi. Very fun. First person. See how long you can survive days-wise doing missions and stuff like that. Every time you die, you become a different character that's now starting to do their survival to see how long they can survive. So it's an interesting story-based, but at the same time, just a survival game. So I've had fun with that. But that being said, let's get in there. They're teasing me. This is why you guys should be in the chat room. They're teasing me in the chat room about the fact that I fell asleep during the first episode of Defenders at Comic-Con. When they showed it to us and I fell out of my seat because I had been up all night in line at Hall H. So let's get into the nerd news. So I'm gonna chime off on some of the news reports that came out, see what your guys' thoughts on it. First, foremost, big news. Obi-Wan Kenobi film in the works, announced. So
early stages.
Early stages.
Awesome.
All we have is
just that it's in the works, no casting, nothing like that, right?
Possible director. That's it.
Possible director. Oscar
Might have a director.
Yeah.
I want to be excited, but I have nothing to be excited for yet.
Well, I'm very on the fact of the director they're going with. It's Oscar nominated, but it's
Stephen
Daldry, who
that's it.
Directed Billy Elliot and the Hours. So it doesn't feel like something to come over.
Yes, those action films.
So if we get Ewan McGregor back, are we going to get him dancing all over the place because he just has
which he has said multiple times in every article that I saw on this quoted him as saying things like, "Oh, that I'd be the perfect age for this now. I'm 45. Guinness was what 60. I could get to it."
He is. This is the time to do it and cast Ewan McGregor. I'm going to be very disappointed if Ewan McGregor is not the Obi-Wan they picked.
And he was, let's be honest, one of the few
good
things about the prequel trilogy.
Him and Qui-Gon, from the first one were the only good things. in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
if we can't have Billy D. Williams back, we need at least to have Ewan McGregor back. Come on, please.
And I wouldn't mind seeing Ray Park as some other dancing acrobatic dude again.
That's the factor of this, with not knowing what it is or what they're going into. You know, unless it's
it's just
Obi-Wan
it's a biopic of him. Yeah, him living a sad, solitary life on Tatooine.
Yeah, if it's that, get you, and if it's going to be the same route that they're doing with Han Solo and stuff, you can't go Ewan younger than before he became a Padawan. I don't know.
No, you can't, because that would be the stupidest thing that you could do. Really, you know, the Force doesn't keep you young. You know,
no.
It's
Well, that's what I want to know your thoughts on is the time of announcement. It's just the oddest time to announce. They didn't do it during Celebration. They didn't do it during D23. Is it? Do you guys think that
it makes me feel like somebody was about to leak something and they decided to get ahead of it?
That's what it sounds like to me, because Star Wars is on top of their leaks.
Yeah. So probably Steven, what's his name, was having meetings with somebody. Something may have even been signed that they can't confirm yet, but it sounds like somebody was about to leak something, and they were like, you know what? Nope, we're out in front of that.
Now, and everybody in the chat room is saying 100% that it has to be Ewan doing it.
Like I said, if they don't, it's going to be a big disappointment to me personally.
The other option is it could be coinciding with a book release, because they are starting to go back into all the old history of everything, because they're doing all that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm wondering if it was a factor of that they had a certain story and it kind of fell through, because years ago they were supposed to announce the casting of Doctor Strange at Comic-Con, and the casting at that time was Joaquin Phoenix, and then all of a sudden that fell through. Yeah, the cringe face that that I see Zoro had there is the savior that we had, and I think part of it had to do to Comic-Con, because that same year that they were supposed to announce Joaquin Phoenix playing Strange was the year that Cumberbatch first came to Comic-Con, and everybody was chanting in the audience for him to play Doctor Strange, like literally asking him, "Are you going to play him?" He's like, "I have no idea what you guys are talking about." But contract negotiations fell through literally that weekend, and they couldn't announce it because they didn't have anybody to cast to play anymore. And so everybody at Comic-Con's like, "Man, Marvel had a terrible panel. They didn't bring anything." And it was because they were planning to bring that, and they didn't have it anymore. So they just literally gave us titles of 2 films, and that was all they did for the panel. It was horrible. It was the worst panel ever. And I wonder if this is the same type of situation where maybe they had something in the works during Celebration, because everybody was expecting Saturday of Celebration is when you announce the new film in the next anthology, and it didn't come. So it may have been that same type of thing where it wasn't until recently that they were able to get that stuff. But my tirade. So on other news that we got earlier in the week, we got James Bond news. So they are doing another James Bond and stuff. Earlier, we heard from Daniel Craig that he would never touch James Bond again, and you'd have to slit his wrist to make him play the character. He went on the yeah. He went on the Stephen Colbert.
There for somebody that launched him into.
I hope the opening credits of that movie, he's got bandages on his wrist.
Right?
That'd be awesome.
I mean,
because he went on the Colbert and he confirmed he's going to come back and play Bond.
What the heck did they do to convince him?
They backed a Brinks truck up to his house.
Jeez. Well, what did he do?
Well, he doesn't have a ton of other movies coming in right now either.
No. What did he do before James Bond? Does anyone know?
What was the one with Eric Banya about the Israeli kidnapping stuff?
Yeah, that was Munich.
So yeah, so to have this.
What was the tent pole that they were trying to launch with the fighting polar bears?
See, you can't even. So to have that level of animosity towards a film that literally made you a household name is very strange.
Well, he's in a movie that looks absolutely fantastic coming out right now. That's Logan Lucky. So.
Ooh, okay.
It's basically.
That looks pretty funny.
It is a redneck Ocean's 11.
Very nice.
That's a great tagline. I think you just sold it in the room.
That's awesome.
That's exactly
That's awesome.
And it's actually made by the creators of Ocean's 11. So
Yeah.
They know how to
Daniel
do
Craig.
something right. They go back to it.
What are they
Adam
giving? up on
Driver
the
and
female version of
Channing Tatum.
Was that Icy Zero?
it? What same creators are they giving up on the female version of Ocean 11 already?
Thank you, Eric. Eric, The Golden Compass was the film that I was trying to think of.
Oh yeah, the fighting polar bears. Now I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I didn't know. Beth said he
that
was
was-
in the girl with the dragon tattoo. I'm assuming the
Oh, yeah.
American
The
version
Yes.
and not the
American.
Sweden. Okay, because see, I didn't see the American. I saw the original.
Yeah, it was the one with the Mara sister rather than Numi Rapace.
Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I could see him as Mikhail in the.
But that was after Quantum of Solace though. Like he's
I see. Okay.
Casino
Yeah.
Royale 2006. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting
Pretty much
responses. Craig is the best Bond next to Connery. I mean, people do love Daniel Craig as Bond. It was a whole different take on Bond. It was coming back to more realistic.
Now, are they doing all the Ian Fleming books? Was that the plan? Because there's like, 14 Ian Fleming books and then 39 total in the series.
I don't know what the actual plan is. That's kind of the range that they've gone with the last few. So, I mean, Casino Royale was definitely the Ian Fleming book. Quantum of Solace, I don't think was it?
I don't remember.
I don't
It was
remember
not.
either.
Yeah.
It was not.
Yeah. So,
I think the next one's going to be a straight rip-off of Mr. Bean.
And then they did. There are good set of books. Yeah, the Golden Compass was a great book series, but it was ruined.
Yeah.
He was in Lara Croft Tomb Raider in 2001. Yeah.
Really? That's buried somewhere too.
I think I only ever watched that movie when I was too hungover to change the channel.
But Stephen Colbert did bring up the factor that he said he would slit his wrist before playing Bond again, and he was like, "Yeah, what it was I was just in a bad place. I had been doing all these interviews and talking about it and everything, and I just rather than say the right thing, I completely said the wrong thing." is what his response was.
Well, it's unfortunate. Celebrities get misquoted a lot.
Yes.
Or not
this is
even
true.
misquoted. They just a tiny little quote will be taken out of context and become
Viral.
everything.
That's the problem.
We got arguments going now. Bcon says that it's Connery more than Craig, and people are
Okay.
saying Craig is better.
Am I the only one that likes Pierce Brosnan in
I
this
love
group?
Pierce Brosnan.
I mean,
I like Brosnan
Goldeneye's the first one I ever saw.
for Goldeneye.
yeah.
His movies
For
after,
Goldeneye.
I couldn't stand his Bond films after because
Well, he stopped even trying to do an English accent.
Yeah.
Well, no, they became Arnold Schwarzenegger films where it was just incidences that happened perfectly so that he could get away from things like the helicopter turning in. I'm not going to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
I will
one of the
I will
villains?
very
One of the
very
villains was a media mogul. Really? Oh no, he's going to control all the newspapers.
Although I did like Brosnan's third film just for the throwbacks to all the old Bond films.
Yes, I did. Yeah, so that one in Goldeneye, but for me, Goldeneye was the first one I ever saw. I loved it. I thought it was great. And then I went back and started watching the other ones and so on and so forth. But that was just the one that came out. My dad was like, "All right, you're finally old enough to go see that movie, so go have fun." So.
I want to see Funkin' Henson just.
And he was in Road to Perdition as well. Big Papa Matt brought up, and he said he was killer in Road to Perdition. So I have to go back and watch that movie. I haven't watched that in so long.
I just like Roger Moore because he was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
That and
always-
he got Jaws. That was awesome. Yeah, Jaws was awesome. So
I was a Connery guy. So.
Picking your Bond is often similar to picking your doctor. It's the first one that you saw that you generally like the best.
Very true. Very true. And I was brought up on Connery. That's my dad introduced me. He's like, you're going to watch Bond. You're going to start from the beginning.
Connery had the best British accent.
So then the last article we had is the craziness that's going on with the Afflecks. Casey Affleck came onto a new radio station the other day and said that Ben will not be doing the Batman film. He'll only do the Justice League film and be moving on, despite him saying at Hall H at Comic-Con, "I am Batman. There is no way that I'm going to throw this away. I'd be a monkey to not do it."
That sounded like a little brother trying to get Big
Well,
Brother in trouble.
This is where it gets weird. So, excuse me. He says that, and they get a little shocked at him saying on the radio station, like, "Oh, that's breaking news." And he's like, "It's breaking news." He's like, "Oh, well then, no, he's like, I'm making things up." Is what he tells them after that.
To me, that sounds sounds more like, "Oh, you guys didn't." Oh, yeah,
exactly.
I was kidding.
And then the next day, everybody hits the press because then it's Casey's people coming out. Yeah, he was playing jokes with the Red Sox fans because he was out there to throw the first pitch, and the studio coming out going, Ben is Batman as long as he wants to be, and we would love him to continue being Batman. And so it's this weird thing. I mean, once again, your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Ben's a good Batman or not?
I think he's a fantastic Bruce Wayne.
I thought
liked him as both.
Yeah.
I thought he was fine. I thought for as much crap as people were giving him before, after the casting was first announced, I thought that he didn't deserve half the crap that was thrown at him. But I thought he was
a big,
just fine.
likable doofus.
It's just
Yeah, that really is it.
yeah. The biggest problem is the script just wasn't good. So until we see him in a good script, we can't really say he's good or not good, because I mean, Batman versus Superman had so many flaws in it that it really took away from any good or great acting that could have come from it,
And I want to welcome Marley Ball to the chat. She got delayed. She showed up. So,
do we know who the villain is?
He was the bomb in Phantoms. I agree with Robert.
Well,
Ben
no,
Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
So the LOL, you got to get that. That is a straight Kevin Smith movie reference.
Absolutely.
That is, I love that Robert brought that in. So, and apparently he was better in The Accountant than the Batman. And then Bcon brings up Batfleck is happening. He's getting paid too much, and he's directing the standalone. No, he's not directing the standalone.
No,
that's been taken away from him.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves is directing it. So that's where all this is coming from. So,
Beth Williams says Ben took the same acting class as Nick Cage. That's the acting class where you never say no to anything.
Snyder played a part. I agree with the Big Papa Matt. Snyder played a huge part in a lot of the flaws of Batman versus Superman.
Then that's what's seeming to be the problem right now is the Snyder aspect of things, because Snyder is gone somewhat because of his family issues and stuff.
But Joss has stepped in, so
Exactly.
I mean, there's got to be hope there. If anybody can do a pass, even in editing, to make a movie better, it's probably Joss.
His main history is script fixing, for crying out loud.
Hollywood-wide script doctor.
But as for Affleck, I think Affleck and Snyder are actually getting a bum rap there. And no, Snyder's not my favorite director, not by a long shot.
No, he's not. He's not.
But everybody, I think, can agree on the writing for Batman vs Superman
was not great.
No, and that's the funny thing. So, Wonder Woman, before it comes out, it's there's reports coming out. Wonder Woman's not going to do well. We're seeing the numbers running. It looks like it's going to not hit the objectives that we want it to hit. Comes out, crushes it. It's not freaking like the other films. It ends up being the highest grossing film of the summer. And Snyder steps away because of family issues. Joss comes in, and now there's reshoots being done specifically on Cyborg's character because of him being a little too
racist robots from Transformers.
No, not jokative enough, not jovial enough. Like they were saying it was a little too dark on his origin. So because of how well Wonder Woman did, it's almost seeming like the Snyder vision is getting pushed out now, and it's like we need to get back to that little bit more lighthearted on DC. So
when it comes to Affleck, at least Snyder, I will always I think was described best by another critic saying he's got a lot of flaws, but what he does well is he composes a beautiful shot. But it seems like his flaws come out of the fact that that's what he pays the most attention to is I want to evoke in this one scene, and doesn't really plan as much on how they strain together. As for Affleck, we know he's got dramatic action and acting chops. Look at Argo. He hasn't done a lot of pieces, but look at Argo alone. That was freaking awesome. That was he.
Gone Girl.
And I want to bring up
Gone Girl. Awesome.
I want to bring a Marley Boss comment before we real quick. She said any actor playing Batman has to do a good Bruce as well as Bats. If you can't believe him as a Playboy millionaire, there goes half the premise.
I thought he played a decent Bruce Wayne. It was a Bruce Wayne that was shocked and devastated by the loss of people.
Look at how he played off of Jeremy Irons doing, even Batman style dialogue. That felt good. That felt good.
It seems like most people like Cavill as
Superman. He doesn't. There was nothing really offensive about him.
He's a pretty goody two shoes. That's fine.
And the chat room.
Watch the Man from Uncle.
The chat room is now chanting to keep Superman dead.
Yeah, they better just suck it up, dude. It's not going to happen.
Before we get back to your thought that you were going to bring up Super Whovian, I just want to chime in with Big Papa Matt. Yes, Snyder is an amazing director. He's visually stunning as a director, but very poor storyteller. So, what was
I going to say? Now I forgot.
Sorry. I had to get these comments out. They were really good on the chat. And this is why we want you guys to join the chat, because
I do know. Exciting. Yeah, I do know what I was going to say. Affleck is sometimes very polarizing, not quite to the level of Nick Cage, where but some of the movies that he's done have been so good. Argo, Gone Girl, the ones that he did with Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting, his stuff that he did with Kevin Smith. Yes, Chasing Amy, one of my favorite movies ever. But he's done some movies that have been very, very, very bad.
One was literally called Paycheck.
Yes, a Paycheck. Geely.
Reindeer Games.
The movie that we don't mention, it's going to make Jack Malice's head explode. Those movies have been so bad. And again, a lot of it is the script and the writing and it's not all centered on him. Like, he didn't make it absolutely terrible.
Well, that's what Kevin always said, is that he has to go do his Paycheck films and he would come back to Kevin for like a well-written film.
Yes. Actually, a decent movie.
I wouldn't say that Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was necessarily well written.
Well, no, but when he
did, it was a great movie.
It was fun.
He was pushing that, like, we need to do another movie like Chasing. And
though
it does
need
get
another movie like
highly,
Chasing Amy.
Jersey Girl. I thought Jersey Girl was a fantastic.
I loved Jersey Girl. I thought, I can see why it gets bashed, because it was a little cheesy and it was a little predictable, but it was just a good movie.
Well, it got bashed because it came on the aftercrux of Geely, and it was like, hey, look, it's Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck again in another film.
Thank God Jennifer Lopez was only in that movie literally for like 5 minutes. Okay,
spoilers.
Thank God. If you haven't seen it in 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, however long it's been out, oh well. Tough nuts.
And if everybody in the chat room is liking this talk about Kevin Smith, be prepared for next week, because we are going to be doing our first Nerd Icon birthday celebration, and his birthday was earlier in this month. We're going to go all nerd out on a Kevin Smith next week. So, but yeah, that's our nerd news.
Just one last comment from the chat room. Eric says Nick Cage and Ben Affleck need to star in a buddy travel film called The Road to Nowhere.
I would so watch that, actually.
I think we already have that. I think Britney Spears made it. It was called Crossroads.
Yeah, but she plays a terrible Ben Affleck.
She also did a terrible Joan Jett, but that's a story for another time. All right. And moving on.
I do want one last comment before we move. Beth did bring up Snyder's like the difference between George Lucas and Woody Allen. One can imagine CGI and one can truly direct actors.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But so we're gonna get into our nerd fight. The results, it ends tomorrow. It was our best cartoon series. The choices that we had in there was Phineas and Ferb, Futurama, South Park, Animaniacs, Simpsons, Rick and Morty, Thundar the Barbarian, and like I said, there's a link in the description if you guys still want to vote for your things. If you guys want to put in one last ditch effort for why you deserve more votes, either Super Whovian or Icy Zorro, you can, or you just give it.
Except for you, hedonism bot.
The Simpsons speaks for itself. I'm disappointed in you people.
It's lost its luster. It's just
Yeah.
The Simpsons has lost its
Still
luster.
one of the best cartoons of all time.
Of all time, absolutely. But the luster's gone, and that just leaves it not in everybody's
Yep.
heart. So, and when you guys do go and vote, once again, as a message from our sponsors, you can always click on the Amazon link if there's something that you want to buy, like say one of the seasons of the cartoons that you're voting on, and we do appreciate it. So,
This show brought to you by Vitamina Vegemin.
Exactly. So let's get into our votes. So in dead last is The Simpsons with 3 votes because The Simpsons did it.
I'm pretty sure I was all 3 of
And
those.
they did everything but win this poll is what it looks like. After that, we have Phineas and Ferb with 6 votes. And this is the surprise, man. This one shocks the heck out of me. Rick and Morty has 15 votes. And ahead of Rick and Morty is Thundar the Barbarian. So
that shocked me.
Yeah, I'm yeah. But you know, those offbeat cartoons, they have those cult followings still.
They
so.
do.
Dude, that's every Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
And then by going 2 weeks, this is what hurt this next one because this was the winner, and it was Futurama. And Futurama has 30 votes, but Futurama has in the last week dropped down to 3rd place with Animaniacs taking over the spot from it, I think 2 days ago with 34 votes. And then South Park kind of, I'm assuming, going off of the fact that it just hit its 20th anniversary.
And they have a following on Reddit. Not a lot of these other ones had a big following. I went and looked around in the subreddits and stuff, and you know, I was interacting quite a bit with the people in the
Hello.
Did we lose her?
Seem to have.
the Animaniacs group, and it just you know, just not a lot of. I mean, there just weren't a lot of subscribers. You know, you can only get so many people to interact with when there's only, you know, 6 people that are active in the group. You know.
Yeah.
That's South Park does actually have a pretty decent. The funny thing I found with South Park is because this is a nerd fight, we go out and try and get votes for our people. I got the Reddit one, but Trey and Matt do not have a Twitter. So, and they're 2 people I thought would for sure have had a Twitter, but yeah, neither one of them. Not even not a hair of one. There's one that's under Trey Parker's name that is just pictures of scenes from South Park with quotes. That's all that gets tweeted out all the time. Nothing else. There was one other tweet on there that was, if you retweet this, we will eat some really horrible food. And so of course they retweeted it. But as it looks right now, it looks like South Park is going to be the winner of the nerd fight, and we will get deeper into that with the picks later. The picks for the next nerd fight, when we go into it, is going to be the best Studio Ghibli film. So Studio Ghibli, a major contributor in the animation world in terms of movies and cartoons and things like that. Totoro and Spirited Away. And speaking of that, that's what our main topic for today is, and that's where we have Saphira Rose on here for, because she's the expert in this. And it's Studio Ghibli is reopening for a new Miyazaki film, and that is amazing because the man is the king of animation for our generation, in all honesty, outside of Pixar and stuff like that. And when you bring up Pixar and stuff like that, John Lasseter looks up to Miyazaki as a mentor himself on how to write animation and stuff like that. So I wanted to get a little history about Studio Ghibli from people. So those that are fans of the movies, what's your favorite film, why, and favorite characters? Go ahead, and I'm going to let Saphira Rose go first since we haven't heard from her.
So I gotta go with Totoro. It's the one that I keep going back to, and the one that I've had on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray and digital. And it's just because it holds up so well. The story it takes you to this fantastical world of forest, But at the same time, so you have this contrast of what's going on in nature. You have the two young girls, which is huge for me as a protagonist, as having female characters as central. And then also the fact that family plays a role into it. And it's just, you can watch it over and over and over.
Have you ever dug into that that rumor about what Totoro is actually about, with the story of the dead girls or something? Have you seen that?
There's a mythology within Japanese mythology stuff where forest spirits are a thing, and that may be where that rumor has come from. Because when people die, they go into the forest, and yours actually suicide forests, where that idea may have come from that. But beyond that, I haven't really looked into it.
Well, we've lost the chat room. They are talking about BronyCon, and that I'm a huge Brony fan.
Well, no,
But we all knew.
BronyCon was last weekend.
Oh, was it? I didn't even know this.
No,
Love you guys, but where the fudge did you get BronyCon from? What?
Well, they started talking about Ponyo in the chat room. Ponyo, fishy, fishy, and that went to My Little Pony, which went to BronyCon. And there was a linear, if you were following it.
Sorry, Sophia. I just had to
Link it to Kevin Bacon. Go.
Yes.
Well, if we go to some of the voice actors in some of the films, we could absolutely do that.
Stop encouraging them.
But okay, yeah, Totoro has probably the biggest pop culture following of all the films from I mean, the cat bus alone, and just the fact of a big gray smiling
thing.
Forest demon.
But he's friendly and he's protective, and that's the thing. Is, I mean, he sits there and holds a leaf umbrella over the girl, which is really adorable.
Yeah, and all these I think are still on Netflix. So if we name off something and you guys haven't seen it, you should watch these films. They are
available on Amazon as well if you want to use our link.
Exactly. You can go get it, and you can watch it whenever you want because you'll own it after buying it through Amazon, going through us. Mr. Igor, what would be your favorite film?
Oh man, I still really want to see Porco Rosso, but out of the ones that I have gotten a hold of, absolutely Spirited Away. That's basically that's like the Cowboy Bebop equivalent for how many people would say that one, but I even got to see it in theaters when it hit the States.
It's fantastic.
And man, it's not only Miyazaki's style just in general, but that one in particular, maybe partly because of the dragon images and whatnot, but that one in particular made me feel so much like a kid again. Not only because it was the 2D movie, but had the gigantic, like Totoro, but even more menacing looking, these immense, dangerous looking creatures who are literally just coming by to say, "Good afternoon." "Oh, hello, sir." Yeah. And just all sorts of images and story elements like that. It felt like I was sitting down to Goonies and Neverending Story and, and The Wizard of Oz. Okay, maybe with less music, but like all of those all at once. It was awesome. That, and I will always remember what my friend said about Chihiro's running. She said, "Oh my God." Oh no, about her shoes. She said, "Oh my God, shoes like that." Shoes like that. Tell you something.
1 second. I want to bring up, because you brought up giving us 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So
Big Papa Matt all over it.
Big Papa Matt for Ponyo. Liam Neeson did the voice in Ponyo. Liam Neeson was in Michael Collins with Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts was in Fatliners with Kevin Bacon. There you go.
Well played.
Well played, sir. I just had to get that in there. So even anime films, we can get 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon in. But go back to Spirited Away. Sorry.
No, that was the long and short of it, because I don't want to get spoilery, and it's so pretty and so exciting and so soothing all at once. He really is like the Japanese equivalent to Jim Henson. I'm dead serious. If you've never seen,
I never thought of it that way. That's actually a really good way to say it.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
Wow. And did you have anything that you wanted to bring up, Super Hoovian?
Well, that he brought up. That was my personal favorite as well. I mean, the other ones were good, but that one just, I don't know. It's the one that I've rewatched over the years. I mean, I really liked too. The first one I ever saw was Kiki's Delivery Service. It was on, I don't remember what channel growing up. I know it wasn't Disney, but I probably like Nickelodeon or something like that. And I started watching it and I thought it was really cute. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I have some negative connotations with Princess Mononoke. Unfortunately, I've only seen it once. It was good, but I don't know. I must have been like sick or something. But all I know is I got sick halfway through the movie. And so it was just like a bad day. And I just never went back and rewatched it, because I was just like, I don't know. I didn't like it.
Well, you should.
I didn't love it. I've heard I should give it another chance. Everyone says it's fantastic and wonderful. And I've just never, I don't know. It was such a bad day that I sat down to watch it and I just never went back.
Same thing happened to me with croutons. Got sick while eating them once. Can't do it.
Yeah. So.
But if you guys for bringing up the films that have a high impact, even if you just go to Miyazaki's films for Studio Ghibli, which he really is the piece of the puzzle that makes it fantastic. But any of these films, My Neighbor Totoro, Castle in the Sky, Kiki's Delivery Service, Porco Rosso, Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and Ponyo, they all are all fantastic films. You should give them a look, check them out. There's a couple that he did. I'm trying to remember what the name of the one was, but he does one where it's very morbid and the kids die at the end, and don't watch that one unless you want to cry from an anime. So, and they keep going on about bronies inside the chat room. So once again, if you guys are not here for the chats, come here for the chats because they're bringing up the factor of the anime has a huge focus out there, that there should be more focus on anime, and that it gets overshadowed by studios like Studio Ghibli because of how big they are. I want to know your guys' opinions on that. Do you think that because of having a studio that is that puts out that many films that hit Oscar caliber quality, that get nominated for Oscars, that bring in big talent, that get Disney behind them for distribution out in America, does that hamper or hurt the other animes out there?
Well, yeah, of course they're going to get overshadowed. If you don't have the marketing to get your name out there, you're dead in the water, basically. People, especially when it comes to today's, if it's not trending, people aren't going to know about it, And that's unfortunate that so many good things get overlooked, but who wants to go digging? It's like, all right, this is popular. Oh, this has all of the videos in Netflix or whatever. If Netflix has a deal with them, they're going to all be there. Who wants to go searching around for 20 to 30 minutes to try and find a watchable link on an anime that may or may not be good,
And Beth brings up, there are really good anime out there, like Sword Art Online, which is a great anime. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a great anime. And Flux was a great anime. But those are still mainstream animes. Those are ones that people know about. I'm talking about, like, does it hurt those ones that people don't know about, where they got to go into it?
Where you got to go digging for it.
The fears.
So
there's a gateway that really happened that Studio Ghibli helped open with Mononoke. Because when they released that into theaters, that was really the first mainstream anime to come to the US. So that really got people to go to the theater and watch something that wasn't traditionally viewed as American. And so that kind of opened that door to that really almost first generation of us into anime. Then we got into things like Toonami with Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and that kind of stuff. And then you had the mail order catalogs. If you wanted to watch it, you had your subtitles that were fan subs. But now, like Super Hoovian Freak says, if it's not on Netflix or Hulu because the kids want it instantaneously, it's not going to train. It's just not going to be there. People want stuff right now.
That can go back to our nerd news story from 2 weeks ago about Sony buying the anime Funimation, maybe that's going to give more access to more of these smaller animes. I know Funimation doesn't make them, but they are a distributor of them, and maybe it gives it a better chance at getting it here and now and getting it into people's eyeballs.
Well, they even cover a lot of the dubbing.
Here's the thing with Funimation, because they have a studio here in Texas, in Houston, they have people who record the same voice actors who are recording over and over and over, and they're the ones dubbing everything. There's a service called Crunchyroll that not a lot of people know of. It's basically the Hulu Netflix of anime, and it's all anime. It's all current anime.
I think it's a free app on Fire Stick, and I know it's free on my Roku.
And
the app itself is free, but there's a subscription for it.
Do you have to have a cable, or do you?
No,
or is it
you just pay monthly for it.
Yeah,
you pay monthly for it.
But I want to bring up Robert, and this pays well into Studio Ghibli's pop culture reference for anime now versus in the past. So Robert brings up that my anime started as a kid with Robotech. Robotech came about because of the big boost from Akira coming out. So a big, huge film that got a huge amount of people to look at it, went looking for other anime, and they came across Robotech, which was American made, but actually all the art was done in Japan and stuff like that. But that's why I think that when you get these big studios to do something, it does create a little bit more buzz to go find more out there that is under the radar, myself personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember with a lot of that stuff is going out, trying to find VHSs and swapping with friends. And that was the big thing we did in middle school, was try to find new anime.
And high school.
And then before we close out the nerd fight, I want to get Ian's response on this, because there is a video game that came out and we had a discussion about it and how it wasn't actually attached technically to Studio Ghibli, but I think once again,
anime has never really been my jam. Unfortunately, that's just not my personal milieu. But Ni no Kuni, I know it was very, very similar style animation in that game and similar storytelling. I just love JRPGs. That thing was great.
Yeah.
I 100%ed that game.
But I think because they did use the name for advertising and pushing and stuff like that, I think because the pop culture reference that Studio Ghibli holds, it gets things like that made. It gets those type of games made just based off of that whole let's use the name. And now we're getting Ni no Kuni 2 coming out later. And
for sure, my only point would be that you were asking whether something like this would overshadow the small guys. I think it's the same argument that I had 2 weeks ago with Funimation distribution. Having more people have access to more things is never a bad idea. If something huge is going to draw a lot of eyes, then like you're saying, other people are going to go search for the smaller stuff, the stuff that isn't as well popularized.
We can hope, yeah.
One would.
And it'll also cut down on pirating too, which is a huge, huge thing in anime.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a huge thing. Period. I mean.
And once again, Ni no Kuni was made by Level 5. It wasn't made by Studio Ghibli. There are animation pieces from Studio Ghibli in it but they use Studio Ghibli.
The cutscenes.
Yes. So they use Studio Ghibli as a selling. At least the press used him as a selling piece of like, hey, the game that came from the studio that brought you Princess Mononoke. They're finally doing a video game, and it's like,
it was a fantastic game.
Cheating advertising, man.
But I don't want to take anything away from the actual creators of the game, which was Level 5. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, just once again, super excited that Studio Ghibli is opening back up for another Miyazaki film. We don't know what it's about. There's nothing on that line. It just came out earlier this week that they were going to be.
Actually, there might be. It's a book. Some red worm thing. That was proposed. I'm
red
assuming,
worm. Did she say red worm?
I think it's a red worm. I think it's a Japanese tale, is what it is.
Well, red worm, red dwarf.
Because it was proposed to the other guys there, and they said they had basically suggested to bring him back in to do that. I just saw that today.
The one I heard was that it was like based off of one of his short stories that he had done before, and that he didn't really get to delve as deep into it. That's the fan hope. That's the fan hope. Is the way I would.
Which is based on the book.
Okay. So we're gonna go into our nerd fight, which is gonna be the best Studio Ghibli cartoon movie of all time. So I want people's to throw in the chat room what they think is the best one. I do get first pick because South Park is in the lead. I'm going to refresh this to see if anybody else went to that link and voted to see if.
Admit it, you're just abusing your director powers. I see how it is.
I am absolutely. So I'm going to take with the first pick. Once again, this is what the nerd fights are about, are things that we have a passion about and that we love. And my favorite of the Miyazaki films is Princess Mononoke. That by far, I love that film. I know it's not the biggest mainstream one of them, but that's absolutely my favorite of the films. So, Miss Superhoovian is in second.
Well, I got to go then with my favorite, which was Spirited Away.
And that by far is the most critically acclaimed one. So
yeah, I mean, and that's not. I mean, I didn't even know that, to be honest, before going into this chat room tonight. I had no idea that it was nominated for an Oscar. I didn't know anything about that. I knew I watched it. I liked it. It had everything that I wanted in a movie. It had, mystery. It had a little kid kicking butt. It had, and I just there were. I can't think of anything to criticize about that movie.
Well, that's what I love about Mononoke is you got some.
I really should rewatch that movie.
You got some.
It's been like 8-9 years. I could give it another go.
You got some badass fighting in it.
Yeah,
the magic and the spirits going on with
there
it.
Was, the little things that shot up. What was that? The grubs that shot up off the board. That's what made me throw up. And again, I think I was sick because I was very sick after that, and clearly the movie did not make me sick for 3 days. But I mean,
that goes back to the power of these cartoons. Studio Ghibli is well known now by a lot of, and once again, it's still not fully known because you didn't know that they made all these different movies and stuff like that. You didn't know they got nominated for an Oscar, and that's why we want to do podcasts like this. Is when we see news that comes out for something that's a large pop culture item, if people don't know about it, we still want to get out there and talk about it and get even people on our cast.
When you told us over the chat channel what the nerd fight was going to be, I honestly thought it was a typo.
But we're looking to expand our horizons, and we want to. There's forms that we like. We like anime. There's people on this cast that like anime. There's people that watch our cast that like anime, and we want to be able to talk about that stuff. We want to be able to have nerd fights about it and stuff. And so this may be something off from what we normally do, but it's we talk all things nerd here again. So pop culture geek, that's a focus for all, everything that everybody loves having to do with that stuff. You're more than welcome to talk about it with us too. And that's why we have these podcasts. But yeah, Mononoke, to go back into the Studio Ghibli thing, these films, a lot of them, when they hit American soil and got huge and popular and stuff like that, they were already 10-year-old cartoons. I mean, they well before their time, and still got a huge following after that. They've been remade on the Blu-rays because of how many people asked for it and stuff. I mean, it's crazy that something that's that old that never got seen before on this soil all of a sudden grows and gets bigger. So even those small animes out there, because of something like this, could end up causing them to get more recognition and focus. But going beyond that, we'll go with if he wants to throw one in. He hasn't seen any of the films, so I don't know if he'll have a choice to throw in. But Zorro,
I'm going to go ahead and cede my pick to Lynn. I'm sorry, to Saphir.
Okay. Saphir, go ahead and give us your pick for best.
I think we know this already. It's going to be My Neighbor Totoro.
Totoro.
I figured.
But you really can't go wrong with any of these picks. You really can't.
You can't. They're all fantastic. If anything, guys, if one of these picks is not, if you're looking for like what's the best one, I guarantee whatever's on this list, you need to go find somewhere.
I'm absolutely
go to our Amazon site.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go to our Amazon.
Mr. Igor, what do you got for us?
Well, honestly, tied with Spirited Away for me for a long time now has been the Castle of Cagliostro. And yeah, partly for the nostalgia factor, because
Castle of what?
I do believe
Castle.
The Castle of Cagliostro.
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
Yeah, say that 10
Close,
times
but no
fast.
banana. No, it's a Lupin the Third movie. He directed. And if you're not familiar with, a Lupin. Oh, you meant Ghibli did one of them. Yeah, I was going to say there's many more than
I know
one
there's
movie.
more, but I forgot that they had done one of them.
And suffice to say that it's the nostalgia for me, because it was the very first anime that I watched with Marley-ba.
Oh, nice.
And that was awesome. But in and of itself, it's a great movie. And what recommends Lupin the Third, if you're not familiar with him, is picture Uncharted, decades before Uncharted came around, and have the protagonist be completely selfish, a liar, an enthusiastic womanizer, and tooling around with a sharpshooter getaway driver buddy who's often voiced in English by the same guy who did Jet Black and Cowboy Bebop, and a samurai who his Final Fantasy deadly efficient and accurate, except he has to meditate like half of every day, so you don't see him often.
So
it's good stuff.
I know anything with Lupin is fantastic, and that's another was big for its time when it was out. Yeah. So since we have two of the cast members in the chat, if they want to chime off for one, I know Big Papa Matt definitely will have one, and if anybody else wants to chime in, I need a chat for best Ghibli animation from both Big Papa Matt and from the chat room itself, so we can get a real nerd fight going. And while we look at that, and I will get that in there, let's recap and close up really quick while we wait for those to come in. So once again, guys, make sure to check out our website, MaliceCorp.com. If you do want to get something through Amazon, we greatly appreciate if you go through those links. You're more than welcome to do that. As always, if you like these casts, make sure to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to subscribe to know when we're going live, we have a lot more TV shows that are getting ready to come back, and we're going to be doing a lot of nerd talks on those. We have the Game of Thrones cast on Sundays. We have the Preacher cast on Mondays. We're looking at a date that we can get the Defenders cast going, and then there's all types of stuff getting ready to come. So there's going to be a lot of content. And if you want to know when those videos are going live so you can be in the chat room, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It's down there somewhere. Otherwise, if you're watching this later when it's not live, the subscribe button will pop up in the top corner. It's going to be the Malice Corp logo, really easy to hit. So I've got Howl's Moving Castle, and I need one more from the chat room.
Definitely a great movie and book.
I love Howl's Moving Castle. Like I said, it's really hard to go wrong with any of these films. So let's talk about where we can follow people. Sophia Rose, anywhere we can follow you, Twitter or otherwise?
Yep, still just on the Malice Corp site right now.
What's that?
I'm still just on the website right now.
Website? Okay, yeah. And she has good articles come out every once in a while. And we're going to get, I think she's going to try and get some photos of the Sonic thing. We're trying to get an unboxing of the Sonic thing for you guys so that you can see. So the giant statue of Sonic. Igor, where can we follow you?
Still keeping life pretty simple myself. Harris_Doubledon on twitch.tv or PlayStation Network if you just want to hit me up.
And Icy Zorro?
At Icy Zorro on Twitter and Instagram.
And Super Hoovian Freak.
Just follow me on Twitter at SuperHoovianNut.
Okay. And for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Mest_MaliceCorp. You can follow the website at MaliceCorp on Twitter. You can follow this cast of all these crazy characters talking about all things nerd on at MaliceCast on Twitter. And for our two folks that aren't here with us tonight, but were great in the chat room. And once again, if you want to hear from everybody's insights, make sure to come watch live and be part of the chat room. You can follow the Big Papa Matt at the Big Papa Matt on Twitter. You can follow Bcon at Bcon_MaliceCorp. And you can follow Jack Malice, our creator of our website and our producer on the ones and twos at Jack_Malice. That's it for the cast tonight. we will be back next Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to talk about Kevin Smith and love for movies of his and nerd news and where the nerd fight's currently at, and if the nerd fight's ending next week. We're going to find out if it's going to be a week-long one or a 2-week-long one based on how you guys get this thing out there and how well people respond to it. But our last choice came from Marley Ba. We have Ponyo go on to the list. So we've got Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Totoro, Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro, Howl's Moving Castle, and Ponyo. So if you guys haven't seen any of those films, go watch them. Go tell people to vote. And we will see you very shortly on Sunday night. You guys keep nerding on.
Peace.